Welcome, everyone, to the Sovereign AF podcast, episode 1. I'm your host, Regina Cornelio, and I'm so excited to be here. And what you can expect on this podcast is all things about truth, freedom, and sovereignty. There's obviously a lot of things going on in our reality today, and this podcast is about solutions. How do we become more sovereign individuals? How do we escape the matrix? How do we escape some of the corrupt systems in our reality, like our financial system, our medical system, our education system, all of the above? Some of the things that you'll find here in this podcast are natural healing solutions, homeschooling, how to grow your own food, how to live off the grid and have a homestead, lots of healing modalities that you can be your own healer, financial freedom, how to pay less taxes legally, all things into that. And so stay tuned. We have an awesome lineup so far. We're booked out. Hello, everyone. We're live in the Facebook group if you're watching us live. And for episode 1, I'm so excited. I have a good friend of mine who I met in a mutual spiritual group. Her name is Regina, or I call her Raji. And she is an amazingly talented healer, intuitive hypnotherapist. She's trained on quite a few modalities. I've done sessions with her. I've referred multiple friends and family to her. She's such a powerful healer, and I'm going to let her dive deeper into all the different things that she does. I know that we're in particular interested in the quantum healing hypnosis technique, but she is very unique in the way that she does things. And so I introduce Miss Raji.
Thank you, Regina, and hello to everybody. Thank you for having me as your first podcast guest. I'm very excited to be here and talk all things energy healing and all things QHHT. When I get going with all of this stuff because I'm very passionate about it. So a little bit of background for me, I guess I've been doing this. I was actually trying to figure out how long. For over a decade now, I've been either healing myself, learning about these modalities, and working with clients, but I've done quite a lot of healing work on myself. It's been quite the journey. It's been quite an eye-opener. I guess it sort of started when my son was, little. I used to think, why is he not like all the other kids? Like, he's very high vibrational being, for want of a better word. So that sort of put me on my path, and I learned a whole bunch of modalities. Reiki was one of them. There's one of the modalities that I use, the crystalline consciousness healing, which is really, if you go onto my website, it's under the title of soul evolvement sessions, and really it's just a fancy term for clearing your karma so that we can move up that ascension ladder. The quantum frequencies, it's just something that I did, I think, with yourself, Regina, just recently, a couple of years ago. And QHHT, which is what we're here to talk about, is just another one of the modalities that I use. And again, really all of these modalities are aimed to heal, to clear, to clear the baggage. And we're working on that quantum multi-dimensional level where we're releasing energy that we've brought in from past lives that may be affecting us in the here and now. And I just find it fascinating work because it gives us answers to things that we might be struggling with, like, why do I have this relationship with this person? Why am I not getting on with my mother? Why do I have this cancer, which is a session that I did yesterday with a client, which was really quite interesting. And it just allows us to see things from a very different perspective. And one of the things that I've found about this, and especially about getting the answers, is that one of the things that we might struggle with, particularly in terms of other people, is looking at them as a soul rather than as a person that might have done something wrong to them, but understanding some of this energy and understanding, from a multidimensional perspective, or understanding what might have happened in a past life, allows you to be able to let things go and move down the forgiveness path, which is going to allow us to, obviously ascend. Just let things go, because that's what all this is really about, this energy work. So hopefully
I
that
want
gives us.
to give you a quick intro, Raji. My followers and the people in this Facebook group going live, we're at different levels of understanding and awareness. Like you just said the word ascend. Some of them might not
Yes.
even know what that means. What do you mean
Yeah.
by ascend?
Okay, so what I mean by ascension is that we're all, and I know that this is a concept that some people might just need to process a little bit, or might even struggle with, but we're all source energy.
Mm-hmm.
We're all from source. We're all here to experience all and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we've probably been hijacked along the way, and a lot of us are finding our way back home. And what is our way back home is to find our way back to source. What does that look like? It's about releasing our layers. It's about releasing, for want of a better word, our karmic baggage, our karmic energy. It's about going back into that love space, and ascending up. It's about holding love. I mean, we're human. We're allowed to have our bad days. We're allowed to, have our days where we're angry and whatnot. But it's really about sitting in that space of love and being able to look at, the people. It's about being, understanding that we're connected to all and everything. So even the people that maybe, you talked about earlier about, this world and, what's going on and like about sort of being sovereign. We still, even those that may not be on the right side of love, we still need to be able to hold love for them, which I know is a very hard thing to do. But the more that we release, the more that we understand, the more that we can, see things from that bigger perspective. This is what I say to my clients who are there in our head. It's really about taking that bird's eye view and stepping up and looking at it from above. And when you can do that, you can see the bigger picture there.
I talk about that a lot, and I call it the higher perspective. So I love how you use that with your clients. Yeah. So I want to learn honestly about some of the different modalities, not just the QHHT, but let's just dive into that first. And I know, again, we have people watching that are different backgrounds, different beliefs, different levels of awareness, and different types of spirituality. Some might be religious, some might be spiritual. So when we say source, we mean God, source, the universe, whatever your word is, right? I use the word source as well. But others might use a different word. So, but tell me, so what exactly this modality sounds fascinating. I've never done it, and I definitely am interested. How can we describe what is QHHT?
All right. So QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique. The differentiator, like I do hypnotherapy. I do energy work, and some people might want to come and they've done past life regressions, and that's very interesting. But to me, there has to be a point to what it is that you're doing. And the QHHT is the differentiator in that it's there to get you the answers. And so what I say to my clients who are unsure whether they want to do a QHHT session or just a normal energy session is that if you want answers, if you're looking for answers, then a QHHT is the modality that will give you the answers. So I can do an energy session. We can release, the energy, the contracts, the beliefs, like whatever may be held there. I might get, some information coming through, but if you really want to understand what's going on, then a QHHT session will provide you with those answers. So it is an all-day session. It's quite a long session. And we spend a couple of hours having a chat. And so there's some information that we gather, during the QHHT session. The hypnosis part of it is 2 hours. And in the first part of that session, we are relying on we call it the subconscious, but really it's just subconscious. It might be even, your highest light guides coming through. And it's like you're taken back to a past life, but it's a life that is relevant to what is happening in today's life. The interesting thing, and I can share, I did a QHHT with a lady yesterday, and when she landed, she said on her left-hand side, it was all beautiful and she could see hills and whatnot. When she looked to the right-hand side, it was a dark forest. And that theme ran all the way through for when we call through her light guides. It's like she's been in this deep forest for so many lifetimes, this level of unhappiness, of pain, whatever, and that's the deep dark forest. But there's happiness on the other side of it, and it was fantastic. And from there we were able to see, like, the lifetime of what the relevance there was. So the first part of it is exploring that past life, and sometimes we can explore up to 3, but at least at 1 past life. And then the second part of that 2 hours is to call through your what we call your subconscious, and it can be your light guides coming through. And I always intend that it is your highest light guides, or the highest version of your higher self, whatever it is that you can, like your vibration your frequency can bring through at that now moment. And that is where the power is, because the client comes in with questions. What is my life's purpose? Why do I have this cancer? Why don't I get on with, such and such? And that is when we're able to ask those questions and get that higher perspective understanding, understand, the energy that they've held from certain, past life experiences, that then we can ask the guides, can we start letting that go? And the guides are then working at releasing that energy from within that person. And that is, I think, the power of a QHHT, is that you're getting the answers, you're getting the healing, you're getting that, deeper understanding and that deeper perspective. They'll come through with guidance, what it is that they, would like you to do, how, like going forward. And the interesting thing here is, for people that have got physical issues, they might bring through guidance on, we can heal this, but this is what you need to do going forward. And if that person then doesn't do that, then that physical illness or, disease might come back again. So they're asking you to make life changes. They're asking you to do things a little bit differently, so I say to people, you need to be open to hearing what's coming through as well. And then obviously we finish with just a follow-up after that, just a sort of a bit of a debrief. It's all recorded for my clients so they can listen to it later. A lot of them remember what came through, some of them don't, so they've got an opportunity to listen to it. But every time they listen to it, more healing will come through, or they might, something might pop out for them, which, the guides might want them to really focus on. So that's, to me, the power of a QHHT.
So I just got a question from the Facebook group. We're live in the Facebook group. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, Rumble, or Spotify, you might want to join the Facebook group. That's where we go live with this podcast. Okay. So Kelly asked, does it take multiple sessions, or is it effective enough for 1 session? Great question.
Yeah, that is a very good question. I think when you look at QHHT and you look at some of the material behind it, it's almost like they are saying 1 session is it, and then you resolve everything. But like I say to my clients, I know that I have been here since Atlantis times. So is 1 session really going to just dissolve everything in that period of, like, in 1 2-hour session? The answer is no. So to me, healing is like a giant onion. Each session that you do, you're peeling back a layer. Now, the QHHT will hit many layers because you're bringing in, questions. But again, like that, we have 1 hour. We can only have the guides here for 1 hour because it's such a heavy density here that they get tired. So, it's whatever we can get through in that. But what I say to people, it's like whatever you put on the table. Whatever you put on the table to be resolved, or whatever we can, have to be resolved, that can be resolved, but there could be, other issues or other layers that will come through that need to be resolved as well. So the answer is whatever you put on the table for that session can be resolved. If, and I have had somebody who asked her guides, can we release this depression? They said, no, not at this time, because there were still learning, and
Wow.
learnings that she had to go through with that as well. So again, like, we have to be open to the fact that even if we want things to be released, maybe the guides will come through and say not. They won't say no, they'll say not at this time. So it can be at some point, maybe not at that time.
Right. That was a great question. Can you tell us what are some of the benefits that you've seen people experience from the QHHT sessions?
Some of the benefits are actually, one that came to mind. There was a lady who, I think she was probably late 50s or early 60s. She contacted me last year, and she had this issue with noise. So she would be really upset, and to the point where she knew that her neighbor, because she lived in an apartment, would have a carer coming for her. And so, the night before, she would start getting anxiety around, of all of this. And that was all well and good, and things came through, but she had this affinity with India. She came out of that session. We did a follow-up session as well. She booked a trip to go to India, and she went to India at the beginning of, I think it was January this year. So it went from this noise thing to finding herself, taking that trip to India, coming back, having a deeper understanding of herself, finding peace after her husband had died as well, being able to just cope a little bit more. And she contacted me and said that it was just, I guess for her, just what her soul needed to do to be able to free herself and be able to, explore things, because she was just sitting in this, bubble of negativity, and she wanted to do things. She didn't know whether she should do them, and she just took the opportunity to go. And I just think that just opened her up and allowed the flow to come in. So I just found that to be, maybe not the most powerful story out there, but it was just beautiful, because it just allowed her to be able to just go forward and be free. And I don't hear from all of my clients as well. Like, I'll hear from some, and others I'll never hear from again. But the lady that came yesterday, though,
tell that story.
Well, she came to me because she's got cancer, and she was sitting having an IV drip, and she said, we don't normally, have anybody else in the room, but this other lady came into this room, and they got talking, and she was talking to this lady about, well, how do you manage things emotionally? And she said, I went and saw Regina, and this is what we did, and so even though I've not heard from her since the QHHT session, she's there talking to somebody about, this is what I did to help myself. And so there in that hospital room, she's looked me up, phoned me up, and gone, I'd like to book in. So hopefully that's, that makes
that says a lot.
It says that something's, like really, that I was able to have some sort of impact, not me, I'm just a facilitator. I'm just guiding the process, at the end of the day, but that the process itself has been able to, assist this other person who's on her own journey as well, dealing with her cancer. Because I think I do remember who that was. We got quite a lot of answers from the QHHT session as to why the cancer was there. But did you want to hear about?
That's unbelievable. I just think and then I do have a question after we dive into this. I just think it's fascinating how QHHT allows you to see the higher perspective of, why do I have cancer?
Yeah.
Why do I have depression? Why do I have, whatever it is? There's the 3D perspective, and then there's the higher divine perspective. Yeah. And that's what I try to tell people all the time, is to view things from the higher perspective. You see everything differently.
Everything that's happening to us, even our body, even our illnesses, even our disease, there's a reason for it. This lady, this past client, that was a curse that had been placed on her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was a curse from somebody that she had snubbed the advances of. And so it was affecting her childbearing organs, and that is
The
exactly what had
cancer?
been released. Yes, that's where it
Okay.
was, and so all of that. So being able to get to the bottom of that means that it may not be able. She's not going to be able to get her childbearing organs back, but going forward into past lives, now we can break that so that she's not carrying that full.
Wow. So that was a curse from a past life
That was a curse from
that had to
past
do
life.
with her cancer.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it was very brief, but from what I understand, what I remember, she turned down the advances of somebody in a past life, and that person basically put a curse on her. Keeps reappearing. Did appear in this
Mm.
lifetime. She couldn't remember, but she did go through a very dark period and probably hung out with people that weren't so good for her. And I think it was in that era. So it does kind of prop up every now and like it crops up in her lifetimes, but it was actually the cancer was a part of a curse.
Mm. Wow. Never thought of it that way. It's crazy.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
it's
shielding my energy day and night, shielding,
yeah,
shielding, shielding. I love how we've learned, well, at least I learned from Ishel, and that's how you and I connected. And I'm so thankful for
yeah.
that through a different spiritual group. Um, so I do have a question from Nancy, and
Mhm.
she wants to know, did a client ever come for one thing and the guides want to clear or work on something else?
Yes, I always say to people that there may be something going on for you, like maybe it's going on physically, or maybe they think this is what's going on, whether it's in a QHHT session. I mean, I had a girl that came here because of her toe. She'd had something going on with her toe. Now, this wasn't a QHHT session. This was just a normal energy session. And by the end of it, like, we didn't even touch the toe, but that was the impetus. That was something that the guides have put out there because it was something that she could sort of, look at and go, I need to get something done about that. And again, she was referred through like another client of mine, and we came, and by the end of it, she was just like, wow, forget about my toe. All the other stuff that came through was just resonating with her just so strongly. And she
Mhm.
went off. I got a text from her, a couple of days later, oh, wow, this is what I'm doing. She came back, for another session, but that was the impetus. The guides might put something out there that you cannot ignore,
Mhm.
but it's actually something else that they want to work on. And this is what I say to people, especially in my, soul evolvement sessions, that I'm just there being guided by my guides, by their guides, about what needs to be released. And it may or may not have anything to do with it all. Even something like anxiety, I just say anxiety is the messenger, but what is it that sits behind that might need to be released? What is it that
Mhm.
really needs to be addressed? So there, the anxiety is just the messenger. It's just telling you that there's something there that needs to be addressed. The physical is telling you that there's something to be addressed. Like the lady that came yesterday holds a lot of pain, but the cancer is what is the thing that she's dealing with at the moment. But it was again from a past life that there's a lot of pain. And she even said, I can't connect into my heart. And guess where all that pain was? In her
Mm.
heart. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely can be. You think it might be one thing, but it could be something else that the guides are bringing through.
Yeah, absolutely. Because our guides are always connected to that higher perspective. And us and our 3D human selves, we're not always connected to the higher. I mean, some of us are more connected than others, and that's something we can all tune into.
Yeah,
But they're always seeing the higher perspective. And I think this
definitely.
concept that um, some of our illnesses or things that we're dealing with mentally, physically, emotionally in this lifetime, I think it might be a new concept for people to think that some of that came from another lifetime, that
Yeah,
healing
yeah,
goes deep layer after
yeah.
layer. So that's why
Well,
this is just
I
so
think it can sound
fascinating.
crazy. Sometimes I listen to what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm just waiting for men with straitjackets to come in and take me away. But then on another level, it just makes so much sense
It
as
makes
well,
so much
because
sense.
so much
Yeah.
sense because like there could be literally nothing happening in this lifetime that might be, the cause of it. And a lot of people are like, well, why am I not healing from it? Because you're not addressing like the root
Mm,
cause of it, which might have happened in, a past life.
right.
So that's where it's very powerful to be able to understand it from that, quantum or multidimensional level.
That's so fascinating. So who would be, other than in my mind, everybody, but who do you think would
Yeah,
be,
a good
who do you think
candidate
would
for
be a good
this.
candidate? Yeah.
So when I speak to people, I generally will have a, conversation with people before they book in, because what I do is just so out there that people need to understand what I do. And what I say to people, you'll get healing whether you do like just my normal energy sessions, and that's the sort of thing that you do if you are wanting to evolve, and that's what you do to release your layers. And you'll get some answers coming through that. But I spoke to one lady, for example, and she really thought she wanted to do a QHHT, but at the end of it, she decided that she wasn't ready to really hear what might be coming out of a QHHT session. She might not be ready for the answers. She might not be ready to make, the
Mhm.
changes in her life, because, all of that will come through. And
Mhm.
if you're really after the answers, then a QHHT session is really valuable. If you're happy to just release your layers and just do the energy work, but you're not, so concerned about the whys, the wheres, and the wherefores, then you might not want to invest in, because it's a big, it's a day out of your
Time
life.
investment too. I mean,
It's a
you're
big investment, yeah.
spending a day, you're
But it's
carving
a
out a
very
day, a large part of your day to do this. I feel like this, if I was going to refer someone to for QHH, I've referred multiple people to you.
yeah.
I think a couple of people did like almost like a mini QHHT. I don't know if any of them did actually a full QHHT,
One
but
of
more of a
your one
deeper
of them did.
hypnosis. One of them
One of
did.
them did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I
It
hope, well, I
is,
haven't heard from her since, but she's looked pretty happy. And she had a
yeah.
friend then come through as well,
Oh,
that had noticed
awesome.
the changes. Yeah. So
Awesome.
um look, I think it's a day well worth it if you're looking for that sort of healing. But it is also
Absolutely.
something you have to be prepared, I think, to hear the answers, because the guides are very clear on this. They'll bring through the answers, but if you don't want to hear those answers, or you don't want to make the changes, then nothing is going to change. Or they might
Mm,
have the healing, they might release whatever's going on, but it will come back if you do not make those changes. So then I
mhm,
guess it becomes a bit of a waste. So I do think that you need to be ready to hear what's coming through. If you're not, you
mm.
work on a different level. It doesn't mean that you can't release your layers. It just might be working on a different level to release the
Right.
layers.
And maybe they'll come back and they'll be ready later on. I feel
Yep.
like this modality is good for people that want to do the work. They want the healing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're struggling just over and over with the same anxiety, the same depression,
Yeah.
PTSD,
Yeah.
or even wanting to know where a physical illness, the higher perspective
Yeah.
might be. This is getting a different perspective from a deeper level,
Yeah.
that I just don't think you get
That
from
you would
many
get.
other
Look,
places.
one
Yeah.
one of the things that I found very beneficial in my healing was to have the answers. Now, I went
Mm,
to people like Michelle, there was another lass who were able to bring through understanding, like, why do I have this relationship with my family, for example.
mhm.
One of the things that is great for a QHHT is to understand. And I'll give you the example. And sorry, I'll finish that sentence because I go off everywhere. So
Me
apologies to
too.
people. So many things going on.
Me too.
But bring me back to the example of yesterday. So one of the things that I think it's very good for is that forgiveness. And it doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you have to go, talk to somebody and say, I forgive you. But within yourself, if you are holding animosity towards somebody, you're sitting in that, they're kind of controlling you on some level, and you can't let it go. Now, if you can understand that in a past life, this is what's happened, and there might be a rebalancing going on, then you can start going, okay, I can let that go now. It's not a personal thing. If you can understand that, you've come down here and you've got an agreement or an understanding with this person, they will be delivering that experience to you.
Mhm.
Okay, I can let that go. I don't have to be sitting in animosity towards that person. And that's part of the evolvement, that's part of the growing, that's part of the moving towards that love and towards that source. Because a lot of people are have that anger towards people, or they think that they can't forgive somebody, and that's where a QHHT session can put perspective around and understanding around what has happened, so that they can start letting it go
I
and
think that's
moving into that
huge.
forgiveness.
I
That
know
is
people that hold on to
underestimated.
resentments for years and years, and I
Yeah.
just feel like we used to have a saying. I heard a saying about resentment. I feel like I forget what it was. Something about having a resentment is like drinking poison but wishing ill on someone else, or I forget the
Yeah,
actual saying, but
I know
it's
that
you're
one. I can't
harboring,
remember it. You're the
you're
one drinking
har
the poison, not them.
yeah,
You're the one
wishing
that's
someone else
holding, yeah,
ill will or something. But it's true. It's holding on to resentments and just hard feelings towards someone is really only
yeah,
hurting you in the long
toxic.
run. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very toxic, and it's that build up of all of that negative energy, which is what we do within, these energy healing sessions, is to release all of that. But you have to move into that forgiveness space to be able to move into the love space as well, and that's
Mm,
just really just going through those layers and releasing it. But
yeah.
the interesting thing, with the session that I did yesterday is that, this lady, she's got stage 4 cancer. This is her third diagnosis. She's beaten it before
Wow.
through, natural means, but it just keeps coming back. And it's come back, it's metastasized. I can't even say it, but it's,
Yeah.
throughout bones.
Mhm.
So she wants to understand. And she said, I think it's my mother. And
Mm.
it really actually was her mother. So in this lifetime, obviously, she's the daughter with the mother, but it all started in a past life where she was the mother and the mother was the daughter. The roles reversed, but the
Mhm.
daughter died. She was 2. And it was the look in her eyes and the pain from losing the child has sat in her heart,
Oh.
contracts and beliefs that have sat in her heart. And I spoke
Mm.
to the guides and they said they're entangled. And I said, can we unentangle them, disentangle them? And they said, we'll try. And they came back and said, we can't, because my client is not ready to let it
Mm.
go. The pain of losing the child in that
Yeah.
lifetime, she's holding on to her mother like this, even though it's toxic. So there is
Mm.
still some work there to be done. There's still some layers there to be released because they're still entangled like that. And so there again comes in this whole concept of, you know, there has to be, even though consciously you might be like, I want to release that, there could be on that unconscious level, subconscious level, on that
Mm.
energetic level where they're still holding on. And
Yeah.
understanding that is also helpful, because you might be consciously going, but I thought I did that work. Well, the guides are saying she's not ready to let that go yet. So there's still more work there to be done.
I have a couple of questions, but I have a question that's on the topic we're talking about right now. So I'm going to ask my question
Yeah,
first.
yeah, yeah.
When someone's not fully ready to let something go, I'm assuming the guides can offer guidance and steps to work in that direction, right?
I think it's again working through the layers,
Mhm.
and it has to be, and sometimes it's a process of getting there, and there could be other things that need to be released first, or other work that needs to be done first. And this is, an
Mm.
opportunity for now her to go home and really sit with this, and and really sort of be able to, I guess reflect on that as well. But there's sometimes other things that are holding it. This was the pain. We started releasing the pain. And
Mhm.
we're releasing the contracts, but there could be other things there that need to be released as well. And it could be a process of just moving through that. And I think that's the other thing to probably bear in mind. It's just because we want it to be released doesn't mean, we can just release it like that. There could be, other layers there that might be in play. There could be lessons there that still need to be learned. There could be learnings there that still need to be, learned as well. So that's why it needs to stay in place. But yeah, it was quite interesting because they literally are holding on to each other's hands.
Wow.
And so they were able to unentangle a little bit, but they're still holding on to each other.
Mhm. Okay. Question from people in the live Facebook group. Nancy wants to know, you mentioned your son. Does he have your energy abilities?
My son is here for a very, remember when he was younger? This is so funny. I was always told, he was here for something big. And I wanted to know what that was. And the guys were like, we're not going to tell you because you won't like it and you'll try and change it. Now, when he was 5, if I had have known that, yes, definitely I would have been changing it. I did, and I'm not going to go into what it is, but he's here for a big mission. He can go in, his guides talk to him all the time. He'll have dreams. They'll bring through things in his dreams. He can actually hear his guides,
Okay.
to him, but he goes into, we've done a QHHT, we've done a few on him. He's had some very interesting lives, but he can go under very easily. We don't have to go through the whole process. He can just go under very, very easily, and his guides will come through, with information for him. But, he'll wake up and he'll go, I had this dream last night, that my guide showed me this. So, yeah, his guides are he's here for a very big, and he's probably with another, in the QHHT sessions, there is a particular person that pops up every single time. And when he did, like I had a session for him with a shell, and she saw the DNA, one red, one blue. So we have oversoul groups. So, like where we have a soul and they can split off. This is one of the split offs. This is one of his, members of his actual oversoul group, and they've been journeying together, and they're here for like a big mission. And he's aware of what all that is, but this other person is not. So yes, he's got his own abilities based around his own, but his guides are very much there guiding him through, because I think they want to get it done this time.
Wow. So it sounds like he has intuitive abilities like you, but he may not be on the same path as a healer.
He's not
right.
here as a healer. He's here as something else. I mean, he's 17 and doing his last year of school. That was why he was always different. When he was younger, he could not connect with other kids. And I was told it's because he could see their auras. And so he could see what they were like. And he was shying away from all of that. But he's come here as an only child because he's had brothers in past lives that have poisoned him. So he's made sure he's an only child in this lifetime. And his guides wanted to bring that through very much for me and my husband to understand why he was an only child. He's not as social as, the other kids, but he comes through with caution because he's been poisoned so much in other lifetimes. He's got a lot of heavy metals as a result of that, which we're, working through as well. So he's been set up to, journey through this lifetime. It's like every I has been dotted, every T has been crossed to make sure that in this lifetime they can get the job done.
Wow, I can't wait to see it. This sounds important.
I don't know whether I've journeyed with him in past lives, but he's definitely journeyed with my husband in past lives. But I'm a little bit more, with what I do, I can sort of bring that understanding through, clear the pathways through, obviously have the connections with people like Michelle and other healers that can sort of go in there and provide the answers and stuff like that. So I feel like we're just sweeping that path for him. So when it's time, he can step into it.
That's cool. So I have another question from the Facebook group. Chris wants to know, Raji, how long have you felt and known you were intuitive?
This is a really good question, because I never thought that I was intuitive. I was told in one of my healing sessions that I needed to finish what I'd started because this is what I was here to do. That spiraled me. I fought against it, kicked and screamed, and they're like, no, sorry, but this is what you're here to do. I think I always felt a little different when I was growing up, but I didn't have the family and the parents, that, were open to that. I felt like growing up, I was just in survival mode, and everybody sort of, gets into this at their own time. My son came, was here to basically push me on that path. And I think that my acceptance of it took a little while, but I guess we're all intuitive. We just need to sort of tap into it. But when I finally did accept that's what I was here to do, then it was like everything was able to flow.
Yeah, I love that. I love how we're all intuitive, and my intuition has always been claircognizance and clairsentience. So psychic knowing and feeling. But then when I went through Michelle's course on clairvoyance, I realized that I'm clairvoyant, but I just always thought I was a dreamer, like
Yeah.
visualizing and dreaming all day, and that I have ADD. And now I'm realizing that's not all dreaming, that those are
Yeah.
actual message, like dummy, like,
Yeah. Coming through. I think the Claire, like the knowing is very hard, because for me it was like, that's my thing, it's knowing. I'll sit in here like in sessions with people, and the knowing will come through. But
mm,
understanding where my thoughts, and stopped, and where the knowing came through. And then there were things where I'd be like, I'm not smart enough to have just known that. That has to have come through, something else. And I think when I stopped just listening to my own head and just letting it flow, that's when it really did. But I have some really cool things that happen now. I go into other dimensions. Like I will see people. I'll close my eyes and I'll see people, and I will see people. I'm sorry, I'm going to do this for people, but like I'll be there, and then it's just like somebody will come up like that, and I'll be like, oh, what's going on? Like they're looking at me, and what I was told is that I've been journeying into other dimensions and seeing people, and they're obviously seeing me, because then they're coming up and, having a look at me as well. But, just lately I've been taken off to beautiful, like I'll see beautiful landscapes and stuff like that. But the knowing is my big thing that I use for my clearing
yeah.
sessions.
That's awesome. Yeah, I daydream all the time. And I'm realizing that sometimes I'm seeing into, I feel like it's parallel realities. Like
That's yes.
I'll be at a stoplight, and all of a sudden I'll have this whole visual that I play out in my mind of, a car coming and hitting me. And then I'm on my way to the
Right.
hospital, and I pause and I realize I just saw into a parallel reality. No big
Yes.
deal.
It's cool. It's cool.
Like throughout the day, I play out these scenarios, and I just always thought
Yeah.
that my mind was like that. But I'm realizing that I'm able to see into, and then I take a deep breath and I'm like, nope, I'm not on that timeline. We're not.
Yes. Yes. I don't want to be on that one. Oh, I want to be on that one.
But yeah,
Yeah.
tapping into your intuitive and psychic abilities is fascinating, and everybody has psychic abilities. I just think
Yeah.
some people are more in tune naturally.
Yeah.
Others have to just work on getting in tune a little bit more.
Yeah. And look, we're all here for a reason. We're all here to do something. I was told that's what I was here to do. And I felt like I was playing catch up. But, I'm quite comfortable with where I'm at, with things now. But we all have our own journey.
Mhm.
And I see a lot of young people who, and I think also, I'm in my 50s, and that was the souls that were coming down at that time. I'm a bit of a warrior soul. Kick ass. My
Mhm.
son is a very sensitive sort of, thing. And a lot of the newer souls coming through, they're just a different soul. They're here for different things, and they need the kick asses that have sort of cleared the path there, so that
Yeah.
they can be in that sort of softer space, bring that love energy through. I'm always
Mhm.
been ticked off by my son, because he is of that soul. I mean, he can stand up for himself, but we've had to work on that as well. But he doesn't want to be in that sort of hard space. But we have also needed those warrior souls to come down, to just sort of clear the pathways as well. So the newer souls coming through are more of the sensitive, softer love,
Mhm.
and I see a lot of them, because they're confused, they're a little lost, and they just need somebody to tell them that it's okay, and how to go on that path as well, and just to have their
Yeah,
backs.
absolutely. I relate to both. I feel like I'm a warrior soul and a sensitive. I'm both. And so I'm like
Yeah,
really confused and really
yeah,
like, oh my God, I brought too much fire into this
yeah.
lifetime. But then I'm so sensitive, and I'm like, man, there's a lot to balance here. So
That's a
it's
lot
kind
to
of,
balance. So when the show was shown that red and blue, my son is water. He's got no fire. His guides are like, take cayenne pepper so that you get a bit of fire in. But this other one, he's like the other soul that is part of his oversoul. He's all fire. So when my son is in some sort of, because they went to the same school, this other one will want to storm in on and beat heads or talk to teachers or whatever. So they're complementing each other from that
Mhm.
perspective. But yeah, I'm fire, so I guess that's why he picked me to
Me
come down
too.
as.
Me too. But I'm like fire, but sensitive. It's just such a weird, I don't know what my higher self and my oversoul was thinking, but I want to, we've got we have like about 13 minutes left, and I want to just kind of tap into a little bit more about the other modalities you use. And I know that when I did a session with you and others did sessions with you, you are so unique in you combine different modalities sometimes.
Yeah.
And both you and I are trained on the same energy healing modality, which
Yeah.
is, I love it. It's unbelievable. But maybe you can speak a little bit about how you combine different modalities and some of the other things like, I don't even know what crystalline consciousness healing,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so yeah, can
So
we
that
tap
again,
into
I
that?
think the crystalline consciousness came through with another group that I was with, where we're all connected from a past life, where we were working with these crystalline energies.
Mm,
But really, at the end of the day, it's clearing your karma, So it's really just going through. I'm looking at someone's hologram, their holographic energy, looking, any cords that they might have, entities that might need to be cleared,
mm,
blocks, like devices, chips, you name it, like it's sort of like just it's like doing, like people will just see me doing that. Obviously there's a little bit more, I'm putting myself on, but I'm just going through and feeling, okay, there's something there. What's the contract there that needs to be released? What's the belief around that? And let's just start releasing it, looking for any entities, because these are all things that are affecting them. And that's what I'm talking about with the layers, like in there. So we're
mhm,
just, releasing, like one layer of that. And so that's probably the one that I do the most, like people come in, and that's the sort of ongoing thing. If people want to, release their layers, that they can do, on an ongoing basis. When layers come up, I'll get calls from my clients, can I come in and see you? Some people book in, every month, because they want to release their layers. But it's always best to sort of just wait until that layer comes through. So
mm,
that's what that is. And it's they're fancy terms, but it's just the energies that, that I work with. And again, that's related to, my past life when I came down here. And that's the energies that I was working with then, coming down. My understanding is that I'm, you know, from Sirius, and so, it's sort
mm,
of like bringing, those kind of energies through, and so just working with those energies. But in essence, it's just, it's just releasing your whatever you've got, the dark energy that you're holding. That is
mhm,
also done in the QHT, along with, getting the answers. Now the q the quantum light energy work that we've done with Eshel, I just tack that on to the end of a session. Now when I say tack it on, it's actually quite very powerful, because I'm letting the energies run through. They'll still say, hey, you need to release this, that, and the other, but I just find it's a very nice thing. I used to, as part of the crystalline work, we do mantra work. So I go in and I release things. But if anger, for example, is a big thing, rather than
mm,
spending 5 years releasing all the things in your energy field related to anger, we can do it as mantra work and release it, from the past, present, parallel, and past, present, parallel, and future timelines that way. And what I've done with the
mhm,
mantra work now is I've brought the energies in. So as they're doing their mantra work, I'm running the energies through them. So we're sort of getting that double whammy of, clearing with the mantra and clearing with the source energies as well. And in terms of hypnotherapy, I tried being a conventional hypnotherapist and I didn't like it, because I'm like,
mhm,
we're not getting to the cause of this. So now it's really working on that subconscious level. For example, I had a lass the other day, and I've said to her before, she's like, she's got a lot of stuff that we need to work on. And I've said, losing weight is not just about eating. It's not just about, um, you know, um, exercise and stuff. I said, let's find out what's behind this weight gain. And again, it was trauma. It was about being violated. We worked out it was 5 lifetimes ago.
wow,
And even to this day, she feels unsafe around men. And so her subconscious has said,
mm,
okay, well, if I put weight on you, it'll make you unattractive to men. And that
mm,
was why the weight was there. So we need to now work on that level to release the contracts that were put in place from 5 lifetimes ago when she was violated, but also to actually have the subconscious understand. Because I said to the subconscious, do you feel safe? No, still doesn't understand. So we still need to, even though consciously you might feel safe, on the subconscious level, the subconscious is still telling me I still don't feel safe. So really, like negotiating with the subconscious. It was like, okay, can we have this agreement that if she is in a genuinely safe situation, that you can accept that she's safe and allow her to feel comfortable, happy, and peaceful. But in situations where you know it's not safe, you give her that uncomfortable feeling so that she can actually go, actually, what is this feeling? I'm not feeling safe. I need to get out of this. But, there's some work to be done around that as well. So I try and combine really my knowledge of energy and how energy works, and how things can be brought in from past lives, even in my hypnotherapy work, rather than saying to the subconscious, and now you will lose weight, and you will, it's like, what is it that's behind it, so that we can let it go, so that the subconscious can go, okay, I can allow her to lose that weight now because I feel safe.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about you is how you combine the different modalities. You bring in your intuition, you bring in the quantum energy healing that we're trained on, the quantum healing hypnosis, the crystalline conscious. I mean, you're very
It's all
unique. There's nobody combining everything
all of that.
that you're doing, and I love it. And that's why I've done sessions with you and I've sent you multiple referrals. Highly,
Yes.
highly recommend. And you're
Thank
also
you.
just awesome. I love connecting with you.
Thank you,
So
Regina.
there's a couple comments, not questions,
Yes.
but someone said, I love how you describe the new souls being more sensitive and us being more warrior, like very true. Love Raji's insight and loved the energy from her and Regina. That's awesome. So
Thank you.
we're getting ready to wrap up. We've got about 6 minutes left. So if you have any questions, if you're watching live, make sure to get those in. Um, and yeah, is there anything I guess that you want to leave us with? And then obviously you can share how people can find you.
Yeah.
But any last words to leave us with?
I look, I what I like to say to people is, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, look at it from that higher perspective, because it's there to sort of guide you.
Mhm.
Don't label yourself with depression or anxiety or anything like that, because it's there to guide you. It's there to show you that there's something there to be released. Anything going in your body is there to show you something. And if you can look at it like that, and this is what I say to my clients, when your next layer comes through and you feel like crap, rejoice, because it's you're being told that there's something there to be released. And if you can look at it from that perspective, then you can be like, yes, there's something there to be released, rather than, oh my god, I'm going through something. Learn from it, have the lessons from it. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Don't worry about what anybody else is saying. Follow your gut, follow your instinct. If you are on a healing journey, you can feel a little bit lonely, but there are us, there are a lot of people out there that are doing that, but just to honor yourself, honor your journey, honor what's coming through for you, and just leave it at that. Don't try and overthink it too much. I think people try and overthink too much, but if you can see from the high perspective and see that it's a message, then you can act upon it and do something about it as well. And every single
Yeah.
time I do a QHHT, I ask the guides, is there anything that, you want to bring through? And they will bring some stuff through, and they always bring through, you are loved.
Mm-hmm.
They will always finish with that. So I think that's a message that I want to just, leave with everybody, that your guides are there, they are guiding you, and they do love you, and you are loved. And, it's
Right.
always nice to sort of hold that within your heart and to just know that.
I love that. I love knowing I'm not alone. And I use that higher perspective that has gotten me through the worst times in life, the worst resentments, the deepest
Yeah.
depressive times, the deepest anxiety, by I like to think of it as zooming out of the 3D perspective and looking at
Yeah.
it kind of
From that
from the
higher
higher self
perspective.
perspective, and being like, realizing this is a temporary human
Yeah.
experience and it's
I've been,
okay.
yeah, I've been shown before, it's like the eagle, like, the eagle soaring above and taking in the view from above. It's like we need to do the same thing and see everything from that eagle's point of view, like right
Mhm.
from right up high. it must be amazing to be up that high and see
Right?
everything
Imagine what it's
from that
like to be a
perspective.
guide. I can only imagine what it's like to be my guides. I giggle sometimes. I'm like, man, that
Look,
kind of
I've given
feels,
my guides a bit of a run for their money, so I'm
yeah,
getting gratitude for them for being there.
yeah, unbelievable. Like what they're thinking about me. Some days they're probably like, oh man, here we go.
Can I just have an ice pack for my head? Oh my gosh, she's a headache.
Here we go again, right?
But we're human. This is what I say. We're human, here to have a human experience. And so we
Yeah.
have to honor that as well.
Absolutely. It's been so nice chatting. Honestly, I can keep
Thank you,
chatting
darling.
all night, but I don't want to take up your
No,
entire
that's all
evening.
good.
Thank you so much for sharing this time and space with us. I appreciate you so
Absolute pleasure.
much.
Thank
Um,
you. It's been
where
awesome.
can
It's been really fun.
where can the viewers connect with you?
Yes, I do have a website. It hasn't been updated since I first launched it, so not all the information is there, but most of the information is there. It's called infinitysoulcoaching.com. I think it's .au as well on the end. infinitysoulcoaching.com.au because I'm in Aussie. So it's all one word. So my business is Infinity Soul Coaching. And so if you just say infinitysoulcoaching.com.au and have a look at the website, there's quite a lot of information that's on there. There's also a message thing on there. So if you've got a message that you want to send me, you can just type that message in and you can send it through to me. I do have on there that, like I do a 30-minute free consult, and, that is something that I do. So if somebody wants to just check it out a little bit more and set up, like a little tete-a-tete with me, then that's all good. They just need to send me a message.
I love that.
And
Yay, thank you so much.
I am actually on Facebook, mostly on Instagram. It's Infinity Soul Coaching on Instagram as well. I think I've got a little link on my website, so you can go check that out. Sometimes I'm not very good at it, I'm a bit hit and miss with it, but if I have something that I think is worthwhile to put up, then I will, all messages from the guides that might come through, then I'll, put that up onto my on my Instagram page and Facebook page as well.
I always Instagram you, so maybe I should be emailing you instead.
No, I think I've missed a few messages with people that not like that aren't following me or that I'm not connected with on Instagram, because I'm old school, and it'll go into like another section and I'm like, oh my God, I've missed that. And that's where the emailing me. So if you're following me, then I will get the messages coming through on Instagram. But that's where I don't miss the emails, because I'm old school, so emails, there's an email.
Thank you so much, Raji. It was so nice to connect. I love your insights. I love your energy. I love what you do. You're doing real amazing work for the collective, and I'm so happy to be connected to you. Thank you for being here on episode 1.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you, and thank you to all of those that asked questions. They were great questions, and I loved answering them.
Absolutely. This has been an amazing episode 1. I'm so excited for this podcast. Thank you to everyone who made it live on Facebook and anyone who's going to watch the recording afterwards. Stay tuned. Amazing things to come. Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you.